Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So I will start by an introduction myself and our guest. Starting with our guest, his name is, as you already heard, Alex Litvak, and he's coming from Israel. He's leading a security research group there for SafeBreach, a company called SafeBreach. SafeBreach actually is they're dealing with utilizing a lot of automation and a lot of knowledge about the security posture and attack vectors. They're actually trying to validate what the companies have in place, their security controls, operational controls, and pretty much testing everything, making a safe breach, which actually the name implies. My name is Ivan Zhityanov, and I'm Executive Director of Telling Business Services. We, on ourselves, for the last, 4 or 5 years, we're very active in the space of information security, doing a lot of system integration, a lot of managed services, so managing the things for our clients, and a lot of security operations as well. So I will try to give a foundation for our conversation here by starting a little bit, trying to wrap up, to summarize what's the cybersecurity threat landscape in the last year or so. So what we see that the malware is getting more sophisticated. So we have more malware that's self-propagating. On top of that, we see an increase in the variety and number of type of malwares that we see. So there is a whole ocean of different types of malware, and it's getting really harder and harder to actually fight those guys. On the other hand, the hackers are utilizing more and more encryption methodology. So they're encrypting the traffic, so it is getting, on the other hand, us as a user, as a legit user, we are encrypting our traffic as well. So it's getting harder and harder to actually realize which traffic is legit and which traffic is, for example, a command and control traffic from a bot or something. On the other hand, the malware is taking evasive maneuvers to actually elude the sandboxing environment. So, the security experts, they try to test the malware, if it's a malware or a normal code. And in the past year, more and more malwares are actually in artificial environment. They're acting as a normal software. Giving that, and actually using that, utilizing that, the hackers are starting to using more and more legit by default services, like, for example, Microsoft infrastructure as a service, Google cloud infrastructure, and things like that. So it's getting harder and harder. And on top of that, like it has just been said, it's the landscape of endpoints is going not only from PC and mobile phones, but it's going to more and more IoT devices, which still are not that secured, or we are not paying that much of attention to them. So to summarizing, the landscape is getting harder and harder, and we need to find different ways to actually fight those guys. And the topic that we want to talk today is about automation and how important actually is to help the defenders, to help the human in fighting that. And SafeBreach is really good. SafeBreach was this year, it's a company 4 years.
4 years, yes.
Yeah, and you are represented as a co-vendor from Gartner, and I believe that in a couple of years you'll be in the leaders quadrant. I'm sure about that. So good luck, but they're using a lot of automation.
Now the category is being defined, breach and attack simulation, which we'll cover.
Okay. So new category in the Gartner space. And another topic that we want to touch in order really to resonate with the audience here in Eastern Europe is, does the size matter when it comes to security? It's really important to understand, are we immune, being a smaller companies in a smaller country, are we immune? Are we not a target? And the last thing that we want to touch is about affordability. So is the information security, okay, it's needed, it's obviously a needed thing, but is it affordable, and can the common business afford it? So without further ado, the first question is about automation, and what do you think? How is the automation needed, and how important is it, and what you do with the automation in SafeBreach?
Yeah. So I want to add another thing which is really relevant to this question, is that we see in the last years that the techniques that are being used by experts are becoming to being more and more used by people who are less experienced, which increase the number of advanced attack. So if an exploit of some kind of an attack was leaked by the NSA, so tomorrow everyone can use this and have really bad impact on as an attack. So because we see more and more attacks, it's becoming harder for the companies to contain all those attacks. Because the number, as Ivan said, the number of attacks being inside the company is increasing more and more. That's why we need to start engaging and not waiting for the attack to happen, but starting to create it our own with an increasing number of attacks in which we, at our company, we build more and more attacks, create new attacks, and then we try to automatically run them in the company to validate its security of the company.
So, and basically, what you are creating is a platform that you have a preset of attacks that that's the research team you're actually leading. You are creating an attack vectors, right?
Yes.
And the other part is that the clients can really use that platform and create their own attacks, right?
Right. So we have three ways. One way is we are taking attacks which are being now, which we find in the internet, which are being used all over, and we implement them inside our system. We think about new attacks, which our research team thinks about, which we try to predict what attacks are going to happen. And the third part, as I said, is really for the company itself or for the people who want to create their own attacks to put them inside our platform.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you're utilizing that you're providing a platform that could automate a controlled, safe breach attack vector.
Right.
So everybody could test if the money, the investments they're making, the controls they're making really make any kind of a sense.
Yeah. So we see today that people are buying more and more security controls, but they don't really know how effective they are, and they just believe facts and perceptions, but they're not data driven about those attacks.
Yeah.
So
that's quite an important topic. That it's not. Information security is not make a huge amount of investment. It's about making a wise investment and the proper investments.
Right.
Okay. And what do you think about the size? Are like countries, smaller countries like Bulgaria, smaller economies, are they, attack proven?
So when it comes to the cyberspace, so there are not limits, there are not geographical borders. Everyone sees everyone, and an attack can come from a 10-year old boy or a nation state. So it really doesn't matter whether it's country, big country, small country, company. Everything is seen and everything might be attacked.
So what you're saying is that when an attacker sees a possibility, it takes it no matter what is the size.
Right.
Okay. I agree. I totally agree with that. I read a lot of articles, and there are actually a trend that attackers are actually before trying on the big guys, the Western guys, US, they're targeting smaller companies, and it might be the case that some of us are actually already penetrated, but we don't know about it. So it's ignorance is not security. It's not information security. Okay, and what you think about affordability? Because for our region, it's easy to go and sell a box and say that's doing everything, but this costs so much of money. Yeah. But what do you think? Is it affordable to have information security in place?
Yeah. So having people to work in IT, professional people, costs much because the demand is high and the amount of people is low. So what we see is that more and more organizations are trying to put more and more automation, trying to replace the people where they can. And here, for example, as SafeBreach comes, so the playbook, which is all those attacks that we have in our platform, there is a special team which which is expertise in cyber attacks, and it thinks about and eventually creates new attacks. So the companies, they don't really need to understand those attacks for them to know whether they are vulnerable for that or not, for those attacks.
Okay, so you're saying that part of the story is to have an economy of scale. So the enterprises, the corporations should trust a company like ours that find a way to attract the right people with them. And so this is quite important. And the next step is that the companies need to actually look at let's say a new kind of a companies like yourself. You just said that you are creating a new Gartner quadrant, right? So there are legacy, let's say legacy vendors, but you need you will come to them eventually. But you need to first understand what's your need and you know what's the whole posture.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And about affordability, because speaking from as a Bulgarian company, we spent a lot of time actually in the last year trying to find a way to make information security and cybersecurity affordable for let's say a mass market. So what we believe is that you should every company actually should start with a lot of consultancy. So really understanding what are the needs, what is the possible impact of the security breach, what's currently in place, utilizing tools like SafeBreach, vulnerability tools, and things like that. And after that, use the information security as a service. So this is combining the economy of scale. So for example, we have a team of 20 or more people that are only doing cybersecurity. And it's quite hard actually to attract those people and to retain those people. We have the proper tools that we deliver as a service to many organizations, again, utilizing the economy of scale. And we really provide the information on a fraction of the price. And yes, it may come to implementation of a costly solution, but before that, you will understand if you need that solution, if it's really what's important for you. And in you in SafeBreach, you're propagating the same thing, right?
Right. So, well, it's all about automation and about data-driven decisions. So, we can find a company which buys the next best firewall there is in the market, but doesn't really work. So then again, you need something to validate this. So those kind of solutions really come hand to decision-making people in the company.
Yeah. So that is quite important, the data-driven decision that you mentioned. So you need to understand where you're standing and what you're up against. And looking at the Israeli market, it's quite developed in terms of information security. Could you share some, I don't know, some vision about that market, how it's developing, where are the priorities there?
So we see more and more emerging technologies which are less defensive but more approaching and engaging to the hackers. SafeBreach is one of them, but there are other deception solutions which wait for the hackers and pretend that like they are real computers, but once they are attacked, so the hackers are being caught. So there are more and more startups on those two kinds emerging in the market.
So you're combining them. Okay. Thanks for the talk. If there are no any other further questions, thanks for having us here.
Thank you.